Hello everybody, this is Alex Meyer with Shy Snake, and today I wanted to talk about how we design levels in SpyDNA. You may have noticed that all of our levels are procedurally generated, but there's still a fair bit of design thought that goes into creation. Our levels fall into three categories. High intensity, with full-on combat that you've already seen. Low intensity, such as assassinations or defending a safe house and things like that. And then there are stealth missions. Each of these kinds of missions will require a different approach from the player, and each of them will also have more than one way to solve it. When I create a level, I want you to be separated from your goal by a series of problems that you can solve with a logical approach rooted in real-world understanding. So one thing that I do when I begin designing a mission is think through what kind of approach the player will be taking here. Is it a high intensity, low intensity, or covert mission? For today's talk, let's just focus on a covert mission here. The moment the level loads, even without knowing anything else about the mission, you probably are getting a feeling that this is going to be a low intensity or covert mission. It's quiet, it's dark, and I've selected some mysterious music to play in the background. For each kind of mission, I have selected music that fits the mood best. It's dark, so I would like to make sure the player knows where to go, and I achieve that by lighting up the front entrance. Now, it's a covered mission, so maybe the front entrance is not the best approach, but at the very least, when you look around on the map, that building over there in the distance will catch your eye. Last week I wrote a pretty long blog post about the importance of providing multiple solutions to each level. None of these solutions are puzzles where you kind of have to know ahead of time that you had to bring this special object and put it in this special socket and press the buttons in the particular sequence and boom, this is it. In the SpyDNA world, you'll be using your logic and your familiarity with the real world to solve the problems. Depending on your commander's strengths and attributes, you will find that some approaches are better than others, or maybe you like a challenge. Either way, you would be walking around the building and, scoping it out and trying to figure out which are the ways that are best to get in. I don't want to reveal too much about this mission, but I would like to let you know that every commander will have a way to complete this mission. For some, it will be harder than for others. So let me just talk very quickly about the skills that may be involved here. One is quite obvious, just stealth. Don't be seen by the guards, try to avoid talking to people, keep your cover. But there's also a role-playing element to this, meaning that if you do talk to an NPC, what you say to them will impact the way your mission goes. So skills such as infiltration and persuasion come into play. The building has several doors. There's of course the front lobby, but then you can find other doors. Some of them will require a special key. If you don't have the key, you may be able to pick the lock. Or maybe you have the key because your infiltration went pretty well. Or maybe you find a way to acquire a key somehow. Since I mentioned infiltration, if that goes well, potential outcomes can be you have a key to the building, you know where the item is hidden, or you know the layout of passages inside the building. None of the infiltration options will give you the full picture. And if they go wrong, potentially you may end up with wrong information and not even know about it. Now, while you're exploring the map, you will be finding objects and things to interact with. One of the key elements of level design that I absolutely believe in is to have the same things behave the same way every time you encounter them. They may be harder or easier to open, harder or easier to crack the lock, and so on. But in the end, if you see a door and it is locked, you should be able to pick it. Or if you see a manhole, you should be able to climb into it. It may not be always useful and helpful, it may not always lead you closer to your goal, but you can rely on the one thing that a manhole always leads somewhere. This becomes particularly important on maps that are randomly generated every time a mission is generated. Because I cannot predict the geography of any given level when you're playing it, I rely on these anchors that you can spot around on the map and figure out, okay, these are the things that I can interact with, and these are the potential actions I can take. In many cases, a skill check will be involved, such as climbing through a duct or a manhole will require a flexibility check. And if you're trying to be quiet, also a stealth check. And if you personally enjoy this kind of mission and think you're going to be going in a lot of these, you probably will be creating your character to suit your playstyle. So I think I've talked enough for today. I don't want to reveal what this level is all about. I'm going to stop recording now and let you go back to work, and I will do the same. Bye.